All righty. Good evening, podcast world and Facebook Live, folks. Time for another episode of Things My Mother Never Told Me. Today, we're doing another special episode. If you remember a while back, I said that I was going to try monthly to do a variety show. We talk about Black history or just topics in general. And so today, Brandise and I say, hey, Brandise.
Hey.
Yeah, we're going to do another show. This time, we're going to do one. We're going to talk about some general events that are going on out here. Stuff that you might know about, stuff that you might not heard about. And I think we're going to kick the show off with Brandise was doing some research on that problem. I'm sure a lot of you heard about down there in Atlanta today. And before we get there, we've had a lot of reports, especially here in Detroit area, of and especially in Greektown, of shootings where people just going crazy. I mean, somebody took cuts in the line at a store in Greektown, security guard winds up dead. And people just out of having fun, somebody probably stepped on somebody's toe, who knows? People wind up dead. So it's just been real crazy. And we need to figure out a way to get our anger under control. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah,
so,
emotions in general. And it stems back to conversations I believe we've had, many times on this show, just about mental health and the care and things, that we should take better for ourselves and the people around us and observe and, even be just conscious of people walking down the street, because you never know what state of mind they're in. And I think ultimately some people, make bad decisions, but then we know that there are real, mental health issues that need to be addressed within our community, specifically in the Black community, that we are embarrassed to talk about. We don't want to talk about,
right.
That sometimes lead to these events, right? Like you a kid that's always angry. Nobody ever talked about that anger or treated that anger. You just grew up an angry adult. Now you go get an angry adult, go get a gun, and nobody can tell you nothing. Now somebody say something to you or tell you no, or whatever happens, or confrontation happens, and you letting off shots.
Right.
So.
And yeah, it's funny because one of the city council members, I can't think of her name right now, is it Scott, was talking about making a gun-free zone down in Greektown. And of course, the right to carry folks is up in arms about that. And and I guess in a certain way, I can understand what they're saying. I mean, I still don't advocate for people owning AR-15s and 14s and whatever else, assault weapons, because there's no need for assault weapons. But the other side of the coin, and I guess to their point, is laws are not going to stop people from doing this. It's the people who are committing these crimes, for the most part, are carrying the guns illegally.
Yeah.
So it's not like, they went to pick a gun up or buy a gun at the store and they had to pass a background investigation. They got the guns illegally. And so you're not going to legislate that. The other side of the coin is that a citizen with a legal gun, if they don't know how to use the gun, or if they're scared to use the gun, they more often than not wind up getting shot.
Yeah, we still end up in the same.
Right.
Same
or shooting somebody, or shooting the wrong person.
Yeah.
So there's that's not going to fix it. So I guess what we can do, Brandise, is we can jump on in, because you were doing this research, and let you tell the people what you discovered.
Yeah, so earlier today in Atlanta, I want to say it was Midtown Atlanta, at a medical facility. I believe it was Northside Hospital, something to that effect. A 24-year-old African-American male, Dion Patterson, 24 years old, they released his name out there, was visited, the facility to be treated, him and his mother. And for details that have not come out yet, 5 people wound up shot. Right. As of right now, I believe one woman is confirmed dead, deceased. And then we have 4 who are injured, some critical injuries, some are in surgery. So they're saying the mother is uninjured, but she is cooperating with the Atlanta police. And I'm sure they're, very, cautious about what they're releasing out there. But when I immediately hear Northside Medical Facility, right, I don't think, Atlanta General Hospital, right? I'm thinking, okay, what type of hospital this was? And they, in the article on CNN, it was saying because of HIPAA laws, they can't really release it and say why he was there, what he was being treated for. But I tend to lean here on the side of thinking that this may have been like a mental facility or something to that effect. And
right.
Again, until they release it, we can only assume, but who knows what happened or why he went off, how did he get through with the gun? Were there not metal detectors or anything that, how do we get here? And as, these details unfold, then of course we'll know more, but that's where we are now.
Well, one of the things that I heard on WDIV, I'm going to call it names, is that they said that he was there for some sort of psych eval. Okay. I don't know if it was follow up or, whatever. Maybe he had an episode issue a while back and they were going there for some follow up work. And did you see the pictures that because they had photographs? Yes,
of him or just a scene?
Of him.
Yeah, I saw his photo. Yeah. They put the released the photo of me, like that was, I don't know how early, actually, I don't know approximately what time this happened, but by the time I looked at about 5, the article had, his image there.
Yeah, that was, it was before 5 o'clock.
Okay.
It was probably around 3 o'clock when I saw it. Yeah, because I was out on Facebook doing some research and got caught up looking at videos, and then that news story ran past my eyes. So yeah, but they had like 3 pictures of him. One without a mask on in the elevator. One,
yep, that's
and then
the one I originally saw. Yeah,
right. Then they had 2 of them with the mask on, and then they actually had a picture that he appeared to be pointing the gun inside of a doorway.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, and it was funny because they said one picture he has a dark colored hoodie on over his head. It was the same hoodie. If you look at the picture, the hoodie was gray.
It's gray. Yeah.
It's just in one picture he was like in a shadow area, but you could still see the hoodie was gray.
Color, yeah.
Yeah. So get out of here. But
yeah. So he's also, I want to say, what did I say it was? The word is escaping me, but the association with military.
Okay, military.
I think it was Coast Guard. Months ago, not too long ago, he was served as an electrician's mate 2nd class. So definitely prayers and sympathies out, to families, and it doesn't get old, right? I don't get desensitized to it. I'm not, removed from it. It's the article also, talked about numbers and how this is the 190th U.S. mass shooting. And I said, wow, we're only in May. This is May 3rd. 190, right? So of the ones that have been published or that have been made known on the news and in social media and places where I am normally frequenting, there are many more that I have not, been made known of, or, that I haven't done research to know about. But that to me is high. Maybe that number is low over history or whatever the case may be, but that just sounds, like we have a problem.
That's a big number.
Yeah. That's
that's more than one a day. That's a big number. And for the people who don't know, did you look up what they consider mass shooting to be?
I didn't.
Yeah, I think the last time I looked was last year, because last year we had the same problem. I don't know if we had as many at this stage, but I think the number was 3 or 4 or more was considered a mass shooting. And so that's still crazy. For that many people to get shot basically on a daily basis. That's more than one a day.
Yeah, this article has like a whole listing of just the locations and just all of them and how many people injured. Gun violence archive.org. If anybody's curious, gunviolencearchive.org, and it lists out like all of the what they consider mass shootings in 2023 and where they happened, incident numbers, number of people killed or injured, people arrested, how many suspects, things like that. So
right.
If you were curious about those kind of things, but to that, they still, as of this moment, refreshing the article, still armed and dangerous, and he's still at large. So
right. Yeah, and they because we had, to tell you how bad it is, I'm sure some other folks know this, we actually had active shooter training at my church.
Mm.
For church officers and committee chairs, the lot ministry heads. We
Yeah.
did active shooter training, so we went over those numbers, and the Detroit police officer, she conducted the training, and it was amazing, the stuff that you see people going through. It's just crazy, and for what, we don't even know. People just one day they wake up wrong side of the bed. It's like, if anybody say anything wrong to me today,
It's that day.
it's that day. That's what it looks like. The rationale is, and so we need to. I don't know, because the folks who say we need more gun laws, we already know that's not the answer. And the folks that say put more guns in the hands of regular citizens, that ain't the answer either. But I don't know. People who consider themselves to be smarter than us need to figure out a way to figure this out.
Yeah. And that I 100% agree with. I saw recently on my timeline, I can't, an old coworker was showing a video of her son, and it's kind of like a family tradition. They go to the gun range together and learn safety and everything. And I'm like, at this stage, like, indeed, right? Because
Right.
you just never know what your child, unfortunately, is going to encounter in school, where they are, you would think they would be safe. You drop them off and hope and pray that you're going to pick them up in the same condition that you left them.
Right.
So.
But the problem is, though, is that at school they can't
They don't have a
bring
gun.
in
Yeah,
school.
they don't have a gun to defend themselves, right?
And the other part of it is, because you can get all the training that you want. You can take every bit of training, pass with flying colors. At the end of the day, do you have it in you to shoot a living person? That's the key. Because if you can't pull a trigger on a person, then all that training is not going to do you any good. Yeah. It's going to get you shot.
You freeze up. Yeah.
You pull that gun out.
When I took the class, that's what they were like. At which point they had a little example, and they were like, what if I'm right here? Do you shoot me right here? And everybody in class like, nah, I'm shooting you in the foot. I'm shooting you in the toe. From back there, you 100 yards away. You good? No, I can run the other way. And they're like, okay. What about right here? And he just progressively kept getting closer and closer to us. And nobody was just like, yes, I'm shooting. And finally he was like, when do you value your life? When are you stopping this threat? Because you all keep coming up with reasons why you're not shooting me, or stopping this threat.
Right.
He's like, and that's the reason why people end up with their CPL, with their license, with the gun on their hip, being the victim.
Right.
Because they don't, decide to, like you said, take a human life, or stop a threat.
Right. Because for sure, 10 feet is too close.
Yeah, much too close. And you're still approaching and advancing, or,
Yeah. Because they've done studies, and they've shown real life incidents where a person was 10, 12 feet, maybe sometimes even 20 feet away. Mm-hmm. And somebody shoot them. And I'm talking about with a 357 or something like that, or for 40. And they still keep coming. So that there's no, and even person with a knife, if they can get
overpower you and get to you.
Yeah. So you shoot them, and they still get to you and wound you, and it could be a fatal wound. So you got to be careful. Yeah. So I don't know what the answer is, but we need to be aware for sure, and we need to keep our head, as they say, keep your head on a swivel. When you're out and about, you just have to, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
safest places you could think even aren't, we can't even say that they're that safe anymore.
Well, I'm telling you, when we took the active shooter training, one of the places they showed in the videos they gave us was a synagogue. Mm-hmm. Where the guy came in, and they was talking about how the one woman, like when they came in, most of the people ran out the door. It was a door. They ran up to this one woman. She dug down between the pews. And they say, that ain't what you want to do. You want to get as far away from that shoot as you can and get as much stuff between you and them. Because if you still in that church, if nothing else comes in there to get him.
Yeah, they keep picking people off, or they picking people. Yeah.
Go down each aisle and say, oh, there go one, let me shoot him. Yeah. That's what they done in grocery stores. oh, there goes somebody in the highway, I'm gonna shoot them. So you got to get yourself out of range of danger. And so with that, and then we're gonna get to some good news. I was looking at, I don't know what I was looking at, but this story, oh, well, I was reading my email. And I get a lot of emails from golf sources. And I got a couple stories. One of them, this is the craziest thing. This guy and his wife were taking a walk on a golf course. And, you know, a lot of people who live on golf courses or right by golf courses, it's a lot of free space.
Trail. Yeah.
So they go out and walk, and they were walking on the cart path. So they weren't out there walking in the fairway, blocking somebody's path. And this guy was playing. It was a couple of them playing, and he got mad at them walking on the course. And so, let me see if I know you looked it up when I told you about it, but what he did. Okay, they got his name in here. In Lake County, Florida, 52-year-old Eddie Orobig was playing golf with his son at Harbor Hills Country Club. I'm gonna call him out. And he encountered a man and his wife taking a walk on the cart path. Said he took exception and things escalated from there. And so he went and expressed his dissatisfaction with them out there walking on the golf course. I mean, how dare you walk out here on the golf course? You know. And so he, you know, my this stuff printed wrong, but he went after the guy after a few words. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not mistaken, he spit on the guy first.
Oh, wow.
The golfer spit on the guy that was walking.
Mm-hmm.
He spit on him first. And then, so automatically, you know, going back to the other thing you were talking about, he already too close.
Yeah.
At the point he can spit on you, he's too close. Now, he already got a golf club in his hand. So he was too close before he spit on you. He said the guy then attacked him with the golf club. Mm. And the crazy thing is, they said he tried to defend himself with a water bottle. Now, I don't know if he had a plastic bottle of water or if he had one of these bad boys right here. This got a little bit of metal in it. At least it's a weapon. It's a viable weapon. Yeah. But he got beat something terrible. And the guy, he beat him kind of bad.
Yeah, 3 fractured ribs. There was like a brain injury.
Yeah. And the whole 9. I mean, like, what kind of craziness is it? And you know, and it's funny because a couple years ago, 1 or 2 years ago, there was another incident down in Mississippi where a guy got arrested, faced I don't know what happened, but he faced up to 7 years for felonious assault. He literally started beating the guy, and then bit part of his nose off.
Oh dear.
Now, these guys were actually playing golf with each other.
It got that serious. Eh?
It got that serious because I think the guy said he birdied a hole or he bogeyed a hole or whatever. And he's, oh, no, I didn't, and blah, blah. And he got mad. And to me, unless you playing for money, and if you got anger issues like that, first of all, you shouldn't be playing for money.
Yeah.
But why do you care what he shot? What he scored? What his score was? Why are you arguing with somebody about what their score was? It is not that serious. This is not the PGA where you playing for big money. It is not that serious.
Take your L and go on your way.
Yeah, and I saw another video where the guy got mad because he said the group in front of him was playing too slow. So they came up and they got to arguing. And the one guy said, the group in front of us was slow. They were slowing us down, so that's why we was too slow.
Yeah.
And the guy took a swing at him. And then they started fighting, and then the guy tried to kick him. The title of the story was the guy who got mad about them playing slow, got him, and not only was he stupid, but he got embarrassed because he tried to kick the guy and he missed and fell.
Oh dear.
What are you so mad about?
Yeah.
You out there to have fun, supposedly. What are you so mad about? And so here's my last golf story, Brandis. This is the craziest thing. Now, in the environment that we're in nowadays, they talk about, a lot of people want to say that racism is dead and gone. It don't exist, right? That's what they say. And I mean, it's 2023. So this story happened in 1990. Now, for those of you who don't want to do that math,
going backwards here.
Everybody that's listening to this was alive in 1990. Save a few people. If you're listening to a podcast, you were alive in 1990. So let's start there. So they built a golf course, a private club, down in Birmingham, Alabama, called Shoal Creek Golf Club and Country Club. Jack Nicklaus, one of the best that ever played the game, was one of the designers. The PGA was going to host an event there that year. So, they got all these people to pay money, do sponsorships. And so the city council of Birmingham, Alabama had contracted to put an ad in the whatever book they were doing for the event. And then the news broke that a Black man had tried to join that country club and they refused to let him join. And so it became a big deal because they didn't want to get the money back. It was a $1,500 advertisement, even though right now we wouldn't say that. Well, the hell, that's a lot for me.
I'll take 15, thank you.
Yeah, I'll take 15. I'll take 1,000. Racism for 1,000, please. And so they wanted to get the money back. You're not gonna let Black folks play? Because the history of Birmingham, Alabama. First of all, they can't afford any more black guys.
Nothing else.
Yeah, because they did enough damage in the 60s.
Out of it.
Yes, but this is 1990. And so they wouldn't admit him. And so they talked to the guy, Hal Thompson, a contractor mogul who built the course. And they asked him, what was the problem with you admitting somebody Black to the golf course? And why, what's going on? And this guy, most times when you ask people about that, they'll carefully think it out and give you a measured answer and come up with a few excuses. This guy said, that's just not done in Birmingham, Alabama. We have the right to associate or not associate with whomever we choose. The country club is our home, and we pick and choose who we want. And then he said, I think we've said we don't discriminate in every other area except the Blacks.
Oh, who let him talk?
He built the golf. It was his money that was building the country club.
Okay, there we have it.
Right. So the SCLC and NAACP came down hard on them. And
oh yeah, bet.
So they did. Right. And you would think 1990.
For the sake of not even appearing in this article, having any press or any additional, come on in, sir. You want to buy in? Let's just come on in.
1990. And for me, because I was thinking about the racism that existed in the 70s, and I was sure a few young folks and millennials and Gen Xers and all of them would say, oh, racism is dead and gone. That was then. That was 50 years ago. This is 33 years ago. 33 years ago.
The other day.
He dug his heels in.
Oh yeah, and double down. We can decide who we want in, and we are fair in every other area.
Except the Blacks.
Except the Blacks. Hard pass for us. We're okay. Okay. We don't want you.
Right.
Not gonna let you. Simple as that.
Yeah. And so then they said, of course, that because of that, it was a good thing it happened, really, because then they discovered that racism at country clubs was rampant all across the country.
Oh no.
They were thinking it was because
This
yeah.
limited one here, huh?
Yeah, because well, black folks don't play golf anyway. And if they do, they don't want to play there. Or they probably already got blacks playing there because you ain't never went over there. You don't know.
Right.
And so it's crazy. They said it wasn't just an Alabama problem. It wasn't just a Southern problem. Clubs all across America were whites only, whether it was written in the bylaws.
I was gonna say without a sign.
Not.
Yeah, without it needing to be a sign on the door.
Yeah, and some of them had been hosting Professional Golf Association events. Mm. It's just that because this one guy decided he wanted to join, and he made some noise about it, mm-hmm. this came to light, and because of that, they wound up being the impetus for a lot of change across the country. But 1990.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
In your face, right there.
Right there. And so the PGA actually took the lead on it once the NAACP and SCLC got involved. The PGA and said, if you're gonna host our events, you can't discriminate.
Be talking about no, yeah. Yeah. I bet people don't want that smoke. Even in 1990. Even in 1990. Certainly not today, but right. Even in 1990, they knew.
Yeah. But although they did, like the Masters at Augusta National, even though they had, I think the first black play there in 75, 74, I think, they still didn't have black members. Mm-hmm. Now, if you was a professional, you could play. And it wasn't until Condoleezza Rice was the first or second woman, who was allowed membership at Augusta National.
Oh, wow.
And that wasn't that long ago. That wasn't that long ago.
Either. Mm-hmm.
So, it's still been an issue. And so that was something that I thought would be interesting to the people who follow us, and especially those who play golf.
Yes.
Because if you ever played golf, I know you haven't. If you ever played golf, I'm telling you, there are certain white people who to this day think that you ain't got no business on the golf course. I'm talking about public golf courses. They think that they're their domain and you have no business there. They don't say it, but they act like it. I've seen enough of them, and they know they better not say nothing. How about that? So let's get away from that madness. Have you heard about the what did I put in my piece of paper? I got paper everywhere, writing down stuff all over the place. The Brandise, I can't find. Here it is. You heard about the Shift Complex?
No.
You heard about Sonia Green?
His name sounds familiar.
She is
I don't know if I'm attaching it to something else.
She's a black entrepreneur. She started a market. She opened a market over on the west side.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Dexter Linwood. Mm-hmm. And she opened a market that sells fresh fruit and vegetables in the neighborhood. And so I wanted us to close out talking about some positivity in Detroit.
Yes. Because it is there. It is happening.
Yes. And right. And before I get to her, because there, I can't think of her name. She has a apple orchard over on Woodrow Wilson.
I feel like I know.
Right off the lodge.
Yep, I know, because we send people there to work for my job. I know that one too. Yep. Yeah, so she's been in business for 2-3 years now. Yeah, they've been doing well. Right, they've been doing well. And but so this song, so shout out, I can't think of her name. I have to look it up while we on the show. But
she said people come in, they say thank you for putting this in our neighborhood. They needed it. It's called Linwood Fresh Market. And she has a big, or the building is a bigger building, and it's called The Shift. And she said she called that because she wanted to shift from what it is to what it can be. And so, strangely enough, she was born in South Carolina. Her aunt and uncle, Detroit residents. And so she moved here to do business with them, Elmer and Juanita Fuller. He worked for GM for 38 years, was a master barber for over 60 years. And the aunt was a registered nurse, and so she was her career-wise, she's a registered nurse. And so she plans on putting a hair salon, reopen the barbershop, Elmer's barbershop in there, and apartments, and just make it a whole big deal. And she definitely put the money where her mouth is, because you know how the financial institutions still are. Couldn't get a loan to renovate. So she was living over on the east side, right off the river, gated community, sold her house to finance this new venture.
Project. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm putting the location in the chat, everybody. So if you haven't heard about it or interested to check it out, do so.
Right.
Great things happening in, they call it District 5. One of the gentlemen that was on our podcast for doing Financial Literacy Month, Joshua Roberson, he is like, I can't think of his exact title, but I know he's in District 5, like a financial manager, something to the effect of such. I don't want to call it wrong, but I know he's over there, and he, did a lot of promoting on this when it happened. That's why, like I said, I recognize the name, and that's why.
Okay. Yeah. Right. And she said that like they got 4 apartments upstairs in the facility, and she wants to turn them into transitional housing for teens aging out of the foster care system.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah. And then she said she wants the same kids to work in the store. And when they're not working in the store, maybe shadow a barber or cosmetologist in the, where she's going to put the barber shop in the beauty shop. So she's doing big things.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is amazing. I love to hear it. Yeah.
And so, because they said she lived in a 4,700 square foot dream home in a gated community, and she sold it, but she has a dream, and she's putting her money where her mouth is. So if you haven't been over there to the market, then go over there, check it out, say hi, and support this young lady in what she's trying to do over in Detroit, trying to make the city a better place, which we need much more of that. And we can't continually wait for outside
somebody else to do it. That's right.
Yeah, we can't do it because they're not going to do it. If they do it, they're not going to do it the way we want it done. Not going to happen.
And I'm putting in the chat too. I don't know if people have heard of it. Let me double check that link. Okay, it went to it. So Motor City Match, like is a program, through Detroit for people who like are interested in entrepreneurship, have ideas about businesses. They have applications they open, I think I want to say like monthly. It's pretty competitive, but I know several like local businesses that have gone through this program and received, funding to kind of expand what they had as like a storefront now to, excuse me, bigger businesses to kind of, serve in the community. So this is pretty cool. Again, that's motorcitymatch.com. I would say if you know somebody that's looking for funding or looking just for mentorship, becoming an entrepreneurship and link up and get funding from the city and, check it out. It's definitely grant funding for, brick and mortar. So certainly check it out. Share it with someone. I think I want to say Fahrenheit 313, a sneaker store. I think they went through this program. There's another young lady. She has like a juicing shop. She went through it and was able to purchase a building, and they opened up on 313 Day. So it's pretty cool. Those resources out there. And a lot of times people just don't know, right? I have this big idea. I have a dream that I want to do, and I don't know how I'm going to fund it. Like, Sonia Green sold her house and did it, right? But everybody might be like, I can't sell my house. I don't have a house to sell. What am I about to sell? Me, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna sell these shoes, right? But so that's a great program to look into, or again, share with someone who you may know who's trying to do something like that in the community.
Well, I'm glad you got that information. And here's the good news. Here's the funny part. That's a good transition for us. Mm-hmm. So I subscribed today to another link that came across my Facebook page, Bridge Detroit. Mm-hmm. And so they talking about things going on in Detroit, where they trying to make things happen. And the article that caught my eye, two Detroit sisters, Kim and Rhonda Theus. And heard them too. Right. Well, Match Detroit.
Oh, okay.
Funded them.
Okay.
and actually, this is the second grant they've gotten for this project for Match Detroit. But they said when they were growing up, and I think everybody who's grew up in Detroit or any city, any neighborhood, knew that in your youth there was always some sort of party store, grocery store, candy store mm-hmm. that everybody used to go to. And so they went to a store called Jack's Party Store to buy penny candy. Mm-hmm. East Canfield is where the Jack's Party Store is. It also had a record store, a barbershop, dry cleaner, and a salon. All righty. And so, of course, it was a hot spot in the neighborhood for years. And then Jack died in the 90s. And of course, people started leaving the neighborhood, the black flight to match the white flight. And less business, all the businesses shuttered. And it was one guy who remained. He was the barbershop. He was still cutting hair in the building. And eventually, he disappeared. And so they said for almost 30 years, it was vacant. Mm. And they still live in their childhood home, the Theus sisters. They bought the building from a speculator. Some of them people just grabbing on property and holding on to it till they can make money off the property. They ain't trying to do nothing with it, but sell it to somebody else for some more money.
For some more money, flip their money, make their money, make some money.
Right. And so their intention is to reopen the building next year. They want to turn it into a coffee shop, a mini art gallery, and a gathering spot for neighbors. So that sounds like it should be something really special. And it's funny, like we talk about Kit Kat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they say hey, all the people in the neighborhood still talk about Jack's. Mm-hmm. They still say it's Jack's place because even though Jack been gone a few years. And so they were also working. Well, let's see. The first project, let me get it right. The first project they did, they funded a nonprofit called the Canfield Consortium in 2015. And it leads various neighborhood revitalization efforts. And one of them was transforming an overgrown vacant lot into community space with a pavilion, planted trees, and flower gardens. And then East Canfield Art Park, which has a rotating display of local artists' work. So they said this year they are also working to open an innovation hub in a house off Canfield that they purchased from the land bank. It will provide community internet access, as well as other tools like tax assistance, mental health wellness services, and also host community dinners.
That's nice.
Yeah. So they're doing a lot of stuff over in that neighborhood. And watch this, as little as 30 years ago. And we
for the day.
Yeah, right.
That's 30-year mark.
Right. And they said we grew up here with everything we needed. And now disinvestment, depopulation, neglect, you got to leave the neighborhood. So, and they said that neighborhood is a 41% vacancy rate.
Wow.
Which is 1.5 times the city of Detroit norm, which is so 1.5 times less than that is just still too much. And so they it's they should go with Brewer. Oh, oh, Brewer. When I read first, but I was thinking of Brewster, but Brewer Recreation Center is where we used to play basketball years and years
Right
ago.
off the,
Mount Elliott.
okay.
No, Brewer not. Was Brewer on Mount Elliott?
I don't know. I might be thinking of Brewster.
No,
I remember
Brewster was down on St.
of-
Antoine and in Mac, in that area.
okay.
The Brewster Center, right off 75.
Oh, okay. Yes, I think that's what I'm thinking of when
Yeah.
we played. Is that where we played?
Yes.
Didn't you just take us there?
Right.
Okay,
But
yes.
that's
The practices.
when I read it, I was thinking about Brewster Center too.
Okay.
but Brewer is a little further east. They talk about the movie on Mac, because the Brewer is not too far from Mac. It was not open now, but I know we used to play basketball there. I used to play Detroit neighborhood basketball program before your time, and I mean really before your time. But we used to play basketball and other stuff at that center, and so they talk about this one guy, 74 years old. I mean, 60 or 74, 64 years old. Used to get his hair cut there when he was 7. Still live in the neighborhood.
Wow.
Right, because I'm glad that they was able to stay in the neighborhood, because we had to leave our neighborhood. Well, something bad happened. Something really bad happened. But they said in February, Motor City Match, we awarded them a $75,000 grant for the coffee shop.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it goes into what Motor City Match is, which you already did. So I think that thumbs up and kudos to these 2 young ladies and the other young lady the other 2 young ladies for the work that they're doing, trying to revitalize the city one neighborhood at a time.
That's right. It's like how you can attack it, right? If I catch on somebody else in their neighborhood, have an idea, then before you know it, all across the city we'll see things that benefit, right? Because who better that knows what will benefit the residents of the city than someone who's lived there, or who lives there currently, has family there, right?
Yes.
And knows what the people in the city need, versus somebody from the outside who, I don't discredit their insight and their knowledge and expertise, but it's nothing like knowing, hey, those are my stumping grounds. I know,
Right.
what the people need.
If somebody comes from outside the city trying to do some work, they need to partner with somebody in that area.
Yeah. Because we know Detroiters, who this Detroit versus everybody, right?
That's right.
Who this is rolling up with your cape on. Thank you, but we ain't really need you. So yeah, I would always think that would be like the smartest. If I'm going to, in a new city, a new town, I'm going to partner with the people of the town to build that relationship or build that bridge, so that I don't come up against opposition.
Right.
Because there could always be that. So
yeah. And then we do have Reggie Smith was on the show a few months ago. He had Gents Barbershop over on Whittier, not too far from 94, and he getting the land, the buildings right in that area where his barbershop was, and doing stuff, revitalizing that area. We had him on there. He talked about the work that they're doing over there. So it ain't just the women folk who are doing that, but we have a lot of female. I think nowadays it's probably like, and the trend probably started in the early 70s, where it's easier for a Black female to get resources than it is Black male, because they're less of a danger, and they check off 2 boxes, female and a minority, 2 minority boxes. So you check off 2 boxes, where a Black man only check off 1. And so there, and so Bridge Detroit, I think it's something that everybody needs to look into. You can actually subscribe to them and get some information about what's happening in the city. I made sure when I saw it, because that's what I'm doing now. I'm subscribing to all the places, or all the people who are telling about what's going on. Shameless plug. General Baker Institute is having a safety first introductory tool class. It's starting May 9th, which is next Tuesday. from 2 to 4. General Baker Institute over on Livernois, 15798 Livernois. You know, one of our cousins who runs that was a guest on the show too, a while back. And there was one other thing that I wanted to plug. Another one of our former guests, Philip Lewis. He was doing a newsletter called Per My Email. He's changed, he's since rebranded, and it's called now, from what I'm reading.
Oh, I think I did see that pop up.
Yeah. I believe that's what
I subscribed when I seen it.
Right. And so he does.
Yep, from what I'm reading.
Right. So you can subscribe to that. He has a lot of articles that are pertinent to our community. He's from Detroit, but he's currently stationed in DC area. I mean, he's the front page with web editor for the Huff Post. And so he gathers a lot of information around the country, stuff that's going on that we should be interested in. And he's putting it together in one location. And then has an email that newsletter that you can and should subscribe to.
Yes, there is always some good, bits in there for sure.
Right. So, Brandis, what else you got?
The only other thing that I saw today was talking about the Federal Reserve and their latest quarter-point interest rate hike. Yeah, I mean, when you think about borrowing and how we know most things happen, right? Whether it's a mortgage or a credit card, auto loan, or student loans, right? All these things are impacted when you get to talking about the Federal Reserve, increasing, that interest rate.
Right.
They said this is the 10th time they've raised it over the past year or so, and the fastest pace of tightening since the early 1980s.
So that's before the racism down in.
Yeah.
The 10th time in the last year and a half.
Last year alone.
I didn't think it was that many times.
Yeah, I mean, Hank, and this is the first time I've paid attention, but another 0.25, that's not like 0.05, 0.025, that's just 0.25%.
A flat out 0.25%.
Flat out 0.25%.
And
inflation, we talk about eggs and inflation and rates, and it's
right
across everywhere at this point. So
because I don't know. I was just looking at my retirement investment numbers, and they said this past month, all the areas of the places where you can invest were positive for last month. Excuse me, they had been negative for quite some time. Well, they're about to go negative again.
Yeah.
Because I was just about to move some money around, because we had a couple months of losses. I said, I got to move my money because I can't leave my money sitting there and just losing money for no reason. So I moved it over to the one area that's safe. And I said, okay, now I can move this little money back and start making some real money. I ain't doing none of that.
Here's a number. With this rate increase, consumers with credit card debt will spend an additional $1.7 billion on interest. Between March 2022 and 2023, credit card users will wind up paying at least $31.7 billion in extra interest charges over the next 12 months. And that's from Wallet Hub. So within 1 or 2 billing cycles, expect to see that reflected in your APR. So,
right.
Brandis, start throwing money to it now.
and the crazy part is that the credit card folks saw this coming a few years ago. Because remember, you used to have fixed rates on credit cards. You don't have that anymore.
No. Very variables only.
Right,
So that means whatever it's telling them to do, yours is about to be reflected. A change is happening to yours.
right. Yep. And then those department store credit cards, their rates are already around 30%.
Oh yeah, that's what the article said too. Those are already higher. Most people are on the average at least 20%. You're at 20. So
Yeah.
steady increase, steady increase.
So what that also means that if you've been paying just a little bit more than the minimum, you better pump it up real quick.
Yeah, because it's gonna be felt.
Right.
It'll be felt. It says within 1 to 2 billing cycles. It says here in this article that consumers are going to start seeing it.
Yeah, you'll be paying for that for the rest of your kids' lives. I was looking at a video. They were talking about how they did one of the funny videos how the government handles the debt, because that's they have to do that because it's about to run out of money, like in the next couple of weeks or so.
They said,
they said June 1st. That's why the guy came and went to the bank to take out a loan, and he was talking about how he owed this much, how much money he owed. He needed to take out. He needed his debt limit to be bumped up. He owed like $170,000, and he only made $22,000 a year. But he was spending $38,000. Right,
sir. You want what from us? Help.
And the guy said, "Wait a minute, hold on.
Money?
Right, what do? You want what?" He said, "Yeah, I think that'll work." He said, "That's what we always do." And in fact, he said, "Well, have you made any cuts?" Yeah, we cut like, I think it was $380 out our budget this year. So we should be fine. And the guy, the banker was like, "But wait a minute now." And he said, "Well, the way you make it sound, it doesn't sound like that's a lot of money that we cut out the budget." He said, "But they always increase it." He said, "Man, what am I going to tell the kids?" And the banker said, "You got kids?" The next scene was him with his daughter. They had her sign the contract for the loan, for the increase. And basically, the joke was that's how the United States manages its money. And they did a chart showing how much debt we have, how much we spend, and how much more we're going to incur, and how much we cut from the budget. But our spending, and it's not a Democratic thing, it's not a Republican thing, it's a politician thing. Because no matter who's in office, they increase spending one way or another. They either increase spending or decrease revenue.
Yeah, we see it all the time.
All the time. So they need to get that straightened out. Oh, here's something that I did real quick. Reparations.
Oh, reparations.
Detroit is among few cities studying programs to make amends for injustice against Black residents. Yeah.
Just show me where to line up, where to sign. I'll read through it. If it makes sense, I'm signing it.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at this guy in the behind her. He looks like somebody I know, but the question is, how are you going to? What are you talking about doing reparation? Where is it coming from? I don't think you should be talking about money. I don't think it should be something else. And then, I went out to. I'm still on Detroit Bridge's website. How should I-375? Remember we talked about that in February. How should I-375 project benefit descendants of displaced Detroiters?
With ownership and whatever.
Yeah.
Coming through there.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And we have to be careful, because there's an article out here about the land bank home renovation program leaving half of the buyers with tax debts. And if you recall, a few years ago, one of our guests, Taylor, she was talking about her Taylor.
Oh yes, yeah.
The cleaning service. she was Taylor's Touch. She was talking about she had bought a land bank home. And she was talking about the problems that she was having trying to, with how much problem was not just the home itself, because she still had to do repairs on the home, but then on the
issues on the
plumbing
outside,
and the in-ground issues
that they didn't want to take care of.
They didn't want to take care of none of that. And so we got to be real careful.
Your property now, your lines, your pipes.
Right. And so it's a lot. I would recommend Detroit Bridge. That's Detroit Bridge Detroit. That's Detroit Bridge. BridgeDetroit.com. That's their website. And you can go out and you can, be a joint member, or you can get the email sent to you, sign up for that, or you can go to their websites, or their Facebook page, Instagram, they have all of that. And get information. It'll keep you up to date as much as possible on stuff that's going on in and around Detroit, mostly in Detroit. And I can't think his name. I had his name up here and I lost it. The who runs the site. What his name is. He used to work for this mayor's office.
Nothing there.
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Our partners, our story.
I
was clicking on their site under our partners, our story.
Right. You think I would have.
See a name there.
What's the name you see?
I don't see one.
Oh, you don't see one?
Under that section.
Oh, maybe. Shoot. I'm on the wrong page. I'm looking at something else. What is his name? As soon as I call him.
Malachi Barrett?
No. Our team. No, not Malachi. Because he comes up first. Those are the reporters.
Oh, okay.
And like this one guy, Orlando Bailey, he's the engagement director. No, Stephen Henderson.
Okay. Stephen
Henderson used to run the executive advisor. He used to write for the newspaper. That's what it was. He's actually written for Chicago Tribune.
Pulitzer Prize.
Right. He worked for Detroit Free Press at one time. So, and he also hosts a daily radio show on WDT. And he's the guy who's the mastermind behind this project. And I'm looking at, they have a very diverse team. They really do. And their tagline is by Detroiters for Detroiters. Now they soliciting donations as well. So, but who isn't, right?
Yeah.
So, Brandise, that's what I got.
Likewise.
Yeah. One last thing, I'll make it a moment of history. This weekend, I got to run up to Cornerstone University because I'm walking across the stage. So my graduation, the official date is in September, but we're walking across the stage September. Why am I all in October and September?
Because that's when you have the mindset. You're doing it.
May the 6th, Saturday, May the 6th. I'll be walking across stage. I think I talked about this before on the show with some other guests, right? That I just felt the urge to complete a task that I had not completed. And so I'll be getting my Bachelor of Science in Ministry Leadership. Yeah, so I'll pat myself on the back.
Job well done.
Yeah, so I got two more classes to complete the degree, but I should be able to do that out here.
Knock it on out.
Right. Fingers crossed, and the Lord be willing, as they say.
And the creek don't rise.
And the creek don't rise. Yep. So we'll thank you, Cheryl. Hey, Evelyn. Jason Marzette, what's going on? A couple shout outs. Yep. So and Evelyn Martin. So yeah, we're gonna see you next time, Rhonda Sterling. I can't call everybody name. Reverend Hoskins. Well, we're going to be back next week. We got a new guest, got some information to share with you, and we're going to get back to rolling, because that was me going to school was part of the reason why we were so sporadic with our shows, because I just didn't have the time and or energy to book guests like we had been booking at the pace we were doing.
We were doing it. Yeah, that's what it was. The pace.
Yeah.
We were trying to meet that, match the pandemic pace.
Yeah. So with that being said, thank you for listening in. We'll get out your way. Peace.
Good night.